Hello from AuroraSpeedster. Non-farm payrolls shows us current situation on US job market. It is one of the most important macroeconomic factors that has an influence on different markets and also on policy decisions from the White House. It is really important data release for news traders, since almost all the markets around the world move after the release from Bureau of Labor Statistics, which happens every first Friday of the month. There is about 100 different analysts from big institutions that use complex models to forecast NFP data. Bloomberg and Reuters and other news providers then take an average of these forecasts, which becomes the market expectation. When the BLS releases the data exactly at 8:30 Eastern Time, markets react based on the difference between market expectations and the release data. If the NFP number is higher than expected, then risky markets like stocks, indices and risky currencies will rally. It depends on the deviation from expectations how much the markets will rise. So on the positive data, futures on S&P, Nasdaq and other indices rise, also currency pairs like Australian dollar versus Japanese yen and USD versus yen gain in value. But bonds and gold usually drop after the positive data, since they are so-called safe haven assets, which gain in value when the data is negative and lose when the data is positive. If the NFP data disappoints the expectations, then risky markets will drop. When we trade NFP data release, we use futures on S&P, which has the ticker ES, Nasdaq NQ, bonds ZB, yen 6J, and currency pair Australian dollar versus Japanese yen and US dollar versus Japanese yen. We enter the markets only if the deviation is larger than 40,000. This week's release of NFP on Friday at 8:30 Eastern Time is expected at 165,000, with unemployment rate at 7.8%. We will be buying USD yen if there is a positive surprise larger than 40,000. So actual data must be above 205,000. We will be selling in the case of a negative surprise of minus 40,000. So release data must be below 125,000. If there is a positive surprise, USD yen will jump for about 30 pips or more, as it usually does. In December, USD yen jumped by 40 pips in the first 3 minutes after the release of the payrolls data. There was a positive surprise of plus 61,000, as can be seen on this chart. If there is a negative surprise, USD yen will fall for about 30 pips or more, just as it did in April 2012, when it fell by 80 pips in the first 2 minutes after the release. The expectations were missed by minus 85,000. Few minutes later, it hit a low that was 120 pips below the pre-release price. So to profit from US unemployment report, or non-farm payrolls to be more exact, we select non-farm payrolls here from the drop-down menu. We enter 40 for buying trigger and minus 40 for selling trigger. Then we record coordinates on our platform by clicking the star button on AuroraSpeedster and moving our mouse over the trading platform. We hit the keyboard button B for buying order and S for selling order. If we want to double check where AuroraSpeedster will click In the case of deposit as a price, we click on this button B and S for buying and selling order.